bad books, bad books. I've got
VTuber
so many
pivot, let's
bad
go.
books.
Hello.
Where are? Oh God, I
is
forgot
that?
to put the green screen camera on there.
I'm like, hello.
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 Anyone ready? Hello. It's time. Hello. It's time for book club.
All right, we're gonna need you to try really hard, everybody. Wish and think very hard about Nurse Huckleberry showing up on the screen. This is the time. We need everybody in the world to just be here in the book club area. Yes. Okay, wow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, wow,
Hello,
chat's
and
there
wel-
too now, I guess.
Oh.
Okay. Good.
The book club room was lost.
No, we
And-
just we
Well,
remodeled.
This one's not as good for reading. I think it's the books in the background that are. There you go. Yeah, sure. Sure, that's fine. Good job. Good job, chat. Okay, so this was the book that I read for book club. It's called Stations of the Tide. Its name is in green, which means you can't see it. Written by Michael Swanwick in 1991. The back reads, "The Jubilee tides will drown Miranda beneath the weight of its own oceans. But as the once in 2 centuries cataclysm approaches, an even greater catastrophe threatens this dark and dangerous planet of tale spinners, conjurers, and shape changers. For Gregorian has come, a brilliant renegade scientist and bush wizard who with magic and forbidden technology plans to remake the rotting, dying world in his own evil image and force it towards an astonishing and terrifying confrontation with death and transcendence. Evocative and lushly inventive, hard-edged and exotic, full of terror and high technology, mystery and magic, this is sure to be one of the most prominent novels of the year." Who was reading in 1991 and heard a lot about this? Tantric sex, horrors supernatural and technological, a heady mix of wild ideas and images, mean and tender, exciting and scary, says the San Francisco Chronicle. Is there confetti falling on me? So, our protagonist does not get a name. He's referred to simply by the bureaucrat. The bureaucrat, so there's this planet. The back of the book is saying Miranda, but in the book they call it Ocean and Miranda. It's really hard to know. They don't really explicitly say we're on the planet of Miranda right now. They talk about other planets. They talk about various things. At some point, I'm pretty sure they're referencing double moons in the sky, but they don't say that they're moons. They just say things are rising and setting. So they could be stars or moons. I don't know. But it took me until like page probably like 13 or 14 to figure out if they were underwater or not. Okay, this is not a well-explained book. It was very difficult to know what was going on. So, a bureaucrat comes in and they're on a big airship flying in to Tidewater, the location. We got a picture for that. We got a picture of the airship flying in. There he is. So they're flying in on an airship, coming to check out the native lands, and they're looking at all the stuff. There's like, water oak trees with imitation octopus that will imitate little acorns, and all of the animals are just earth animals, but a little different. Very exciting and evocative. They're a little bit different. They're not an earth animal, they're different. They got rats, they're a little different of a rat. So this bureaucrat, unnamed bureaucrat, They don't really describe him. I decided to make him look handsome, like a rugged guy. So he is assigned to find a magician named Gregorian and determine if Gregorian has stolen technology that he's not supposed to have, because he has been running television commercials advertising for a special treatment. Ricky, not right now.
Sorry.
So, the planet that they are going to, the town of Tidewater that they're approaching, is going to be flooded by a gigantic tidal wave. Because I guess apparently every 200 years, the tides switch, that's not explained how. Something happens, and there's a huge tidal change, and everything gets buried underwater. And so in the planet Miranda, or Tidewater, whatever, the animals there have all adapted to when the tide changes once every 200 years, they change. So there's like some birds that change into fish, and there's mice that turn into like little tiny seals. And there was a native peoples called Haunts, and they also change. It's not explained how, but they're described as having like big fish heads and then like people bodies, but then sometimes it's like, I think they're shape changers. It's not really explained. That's most of the book, not explained. I don't know if this is one in a series. I don't think it is, because it feels like it starts and ends and that's it. So that's not explained, whatever. But yeah, the Haunts were driven to near extinction. They're pretty sure they're actually extinct. They're not entirely sure if they are, because a bunch of humans killed them. Go figure. And there was a time when they had technology on the planet, but then the interplanetary government took away their technology and left them with only rudimentary technology, and then they exploit the people, and like, you know, they do things that shitty governments do. They exploit the people, and they like take all their resources and that kind of stuff. So the people are not a big fan of the government, right? And so Gregorian, the magician, there's all these humans that live there now, and Gregorian is like, hey bro, you all are in the middle of evacuating, and there's like one spot that's gonna be not flooded, so everybody's moving there, and he's like, look, I know you don't want to give up your houses and whatever, so hear me out. What if I told you I could make you live underwater? I'm a magician. Wow. And I'll make you live underwater. It just is gonna cost you a whole lot of money, and then you get to live underwater, and then everyone's happy, right? Well, turns out people just keep dying, randomly showing up dead, and they're like, yeah, even if he could do that, he can't. Even if he could, that's illegal technology, and they're like pretty sure that he stole something, and so they're like, you gotta go and get it back, except you're not actually, just try and figure out if he has it, and then ask him to give it back nicely. And he's like, okay, sure. Anyway, so they're like, we're gonna give you an assistant. Her name's Chu. And he goes to meet Chu, except he doesn't know who Chu is. First person he meets, freaking imposter, not Chu at all. Chu shows up later and is like, why were you talking to that guy? He's a magician. And she's like, I didn't fucking know. So she's a local. She knows the ins and outs of Tidewater and can get them around. Also the bureaucrat has a special briefcase, and this briefcase uses the power of AI, I guess. Yes, and it can create stuff. You could put stuff in it. You could put a book in it and be like, tell me about this book. And he'd be like, yeah, boss, let me tell you. It says boss. It calls him boss. We still don't get to know his name. Just calls him boss. And you'd be like, hey boss, you got a phone call, and it just like extendo arm with a phone. It's basically Mr. Robotic or what was the guy, Dr. The one that was a guy that turned part robot and then he could extendo legs. What was that guy?
Inspector Gadget?
Inspector Gadget. It's like Inspector Gadget, but all robot in a briefcase. And it also has a transportation mode where it basically turns into a briefcase spider and can run around and meet him wherever he is, which is very creepy. Nobody likes that. So, basically okay, more space stuff. There are surrogates, which are basically, it's like a FaceTime robot where you sit in a chair and then, which I don't have a picture for this, you just have to make it up in your brain, right? It's a robot that has somebody else's face on it and they run around, you can have conversations with them, and it's kind of like Neuralinked in a chair, and you can just, it's a lot cheaper than flying to other planets. You can just link up with it. And then, if you don't want to use a surrogate, you want to go a fancier route, you can use an agent, which is a temporary clone. They don't explain this. It's not explained in the slightest. This is my best guess. A temporary clone, but you can make a bunch of them, but they only last for a little bit, and they can like go and do a job for you, and you like share a consciousness with them, and I don't know what happens when they disappear. That's not explained. I don't know if they die or if they're reabsorbed or what goes on. They don't explain anything. Anyways, so he's talking to a variety, oh my God, hold on.
Intermission. Does anyone have any questions? My head hurts. The hell? Is travel really that expensive? Ricky. Sorry. What? None relating to the book. Is this Avatar prequel? Oh my goodness. How many Bush does the wizard drink? Yeah, does everyone go to the bathroom, grab a snack for the intermission. We'll be back with the book club right after this.
Sorry about that. Thanks everyone. Okay. So,
Meanwhile, people are half pissed. They're like, ah, shit, I gotta get back. I gotta get back.
Oh no. Okay, so he's talking to surrogates, and sometimes he's talking to agents, and you can tell when it's a surrogate because it's a robot with like the human face projected onto it. But when it's an agent, you're not sure if you're dealing with the real thing or the fake thing. And I still don't know why you would use one over the other. That's not explained. So he is sent with Chew, and they got to figure out what's going on, and they decide to go and talk to Gregorian's mother. So they go to Gregorian's mother's house. And she lives in this big fancy house that's like really decrepit, that's not in this picture, but think about it as being kind of gross. Fancy house and kind of gross. And he ends up talking to her 3 daughters, which are Gregorian's sisters, and they tell him that they're just waiting for their mother to die because they fucking hate her. She sucks, and she's been ruining their lives this whole time, and they're waiting for her to die. And the bureaucrat's like, okay, cool, can I talk to her? It also describes the house as being barnacled, as in it has barnacles on the outside, and I'm a bit confused because she talks about how she built the house. So they go to Gregorian's mother, and Gregorian's mother is this like enormously like bedbound, severely overweight, gargantuan woman who has been like eating her money basically. And she's just like huge, trapped in a bed, and he's chatting with her, and she tells him that she was she was paid to birth Gregorian by some guy who wanted to have, and she was like, yeah, I was a virgin when I birthed him. And he was like, what the fuck do you mean by that? And she's like, yeah, some guy paid me to like be a surrogate for a baby, but he wanted it with like only his genes. And so like we didn't sleep together. He just like stuck baby in there, and then boom, I'm pregnant. And then, but he trapped me in this boring ass house with no one to talk to the whole time. And so I escaped, right? She's like, I escaped, and then I hid from him because I didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want to do that. So I went and I hid from him, and I hid the baby away, and then I raised Gregorian, and he ran away from me because he was an asshole and a jerk, and he ran away. I don't like that. And she, but yeah, so she ends up like, so she has all this money that she got paid for doing the thing, except she didn't do the thing, but she got paid in advance. And then she builds this house, and it's described as having barnacles on the outside of it, but it hasn't even been through the tide thing before. So why would it have barnacles? I don't know, maybe plot holes. Why are there barnacles? But she's like, here, let me give you this, and it's Gregorian's youthful notebook, and he puts it in his magic intelligent briefcase, and the briefcase is like, yeah, this is like a magician's notebook. It's full of like weird occultist things. He says he killed a dog in it. He's like, yeah, boss, it's a weird time. So they go to find this really famous witch who lives in the area named Madame Capaspe. And they don't find her, but like she's not at her house. And so instead, they go to this crazy government place where he talks to a lady who's like part lady, part machine. She's got a helmet on and attached to a bunch of things. So she's basically a live-in, she's a librarian that searches up stuff for him. And she tells him about Madame Capaspe and Gregorian, and then gets really mad because he's being insensitive to the fact that their leader was AI, basically. And then, like, there was on Earth, apparently, this is so confusing. On Earth, there had been some artificial intelligence that had been, like, a ruler, and then it, like, was, like, killing the humans and stuff, and then a bunch of crazy technology happened, and the outer planet order was like, whoa, can't be having that happening. So they went, they wiped out all that technology. And then there was this other thing that had like a robot as its leader, and they were like, not again. And they just took out all of its higher functions and made it just a search bot. And they're mad about it. And he was being insensitive to that, I guess. I don't know. He didn't know. So he learns about that, and then he's still on the hunt because he's got more info about the witch lady, so he's trying to find out more about her. And he goes to this like festival on Tidewater. He's like out and about in the town of Tidewater. And while out and about, he meets Undine, who is a witch. She's got all these sexy tattoos. And the tattoos are representative of all the spells that she's learned how to do. I'm waiting. She's learned how to do all these spells, and she's got a tattoo for each spell. So she takes him, and she's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Oh, look at me, my tattoos. And she just is like, yeah, let's go bang it out, baby. And so they go, and then they have sex, and then she's like, have you ever been taught how to orgasm without ejaculating? And he's like, no. And she's like, cool, I'll teach you. Hold on. And like, because she was like, let's go for another round. He's like, yeah, give me like 20 minutes. And she's like, nobody's going to want to have sex with you if you need 20 minutes in between each round. Like, come on. I'm a woman and I have needs. Let's go, baby. I'll teach you my ways. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to need a minute. So she's like, oh, it's cool. I have a super sexy activity for us to do while you recuperate down there. So she takes him outside, and she's like, hey, check this out. You see how the ground is like glowing? It's an iridiobacterium that glows. And it's like always in the dirt. But if you do something special, like kill a bunch of dogs and then bury them in your yard,
What?
She's like, the dogs were gonna die anyways. They're gonna be drowned by the floodwaters. I'm doing them a service by just killing them a little bit early, okay? She's like, what? What? You want dead dogs floating around? At least they're buried. And she's like, here, they're naked. Okay, they're both naked in her yard. She's telling him about the dead dogs buried in the ground. Like, are you gonna get it up? Well, I'll tell you about the dead dogs. And so she's like, here, take this shovel. And so he starts shoveling dirt into a basin. So he's shoveling dirt into some bucket, and then all the glowing stuff floats to the top of the bucket, and then she like skims that off, and she's like, keep shoveling. And so he's shoveling more into the bucket, and more glowing stuff is floating. She skims it off, and then she's like, okay, great, that's enough. Let's go back inside. And then she proceeds to teach him the ways, and is like, let me teach you about the serpent eating its own tail. Right? And she's like, if you take your thumb and you press it on your perineum, you know what that is, right? And do this breathing exercise, you'll be able to orgasm without ejaculating. And he's like, all right, sure. And then they try it, and he's like, wow, that worked. Not tested. I don't know if it works. And then yeah. And then they keep going for however long until morning. And then she leaves, and he wakes up the next morning, and guess what? She gave him a tattoo. Also, the tattoos glow because they put the glowing stuff in the ink. She gave him a tattoo of a serpent eating its own tail on his finger, because that's the one magic he learned, because that's how you get your tattoos, is by learning magic. So she tattoos his magic onto his finger.
How is that magic?
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
If that's magic, then I'm a wizard.
So then the next day, he's like asking around. He goes back to the tavern, which I think we have a tavern scene, and he's talking to the bartender, and he puts his briefcase on the bar, and he's like, hey, do we have a tavern scene? Did I put a tavern scene here?
No.
Never mind. He puts his briefcase on the bar, and the bartender's like, dang, that's one of those cool briefcases. Those are worth a lot of money, I bet. I know somebody who'd buy it off of you. And he was like, it's not for sale, I can't, like, it's for my job, and like, I would get in super big trouble, like, you can't just have this briefcase. And he was like, well, what if you accidentally dropped it in the lake? That could be douche. And he was like, no, I'm not selling my briefcase, I need it. Anyways, so he's at the tavern, and then there's a puppet show with the guy making a sexy lady puppet dance, and somehow he ends up drugged. And then he's running through a swamp, drugged, hallucinating, and he ends up hanging out with one of those haunts, which is not supposed to exist, but he's got the head of a fox. And throughout the whole book, there's this ongoing theme of television being really important, including this particular show about, like, Ahab and the whale, and there's mermaids and pirates and unicorns, and there's this whole show playing throughout the background of it where they're collecting haunts or killing haunts or something in the show. I don't really know. It doesn't really make sense. So they're watching this TV show, and it turns out that the haunt can't see the television because it's not designed for his brain or something. I don't know. But yeah, and then the haunt is like, I should kill you, but then he gets really beat up, but then the haunt takes him back to the tavern, and then he wakes up in the morning, and a doctor is like, hey, you got like super fucked up. You okay? And he's like, I don't want to talk to the doctor. And then the doctor is like, I'm a witch doctor. He's like, well, I want to see a medical droid, basically. He's like, we see medical droids now. And he's like, well, I'm a witch doctor, so let me help you or what? And then all of a sudden he like gets all spooky with it and goes like, bleh. But in his mouth is a third eye. And he's like, ha, I can see your future. Let me tell you what's wrong with you. And then he tells him what's wrong with him, and then he gets some medicine, and then he's kind of better. He goes back to the government, right? And the government, they're like, yo, why did you say those crazy things? Why did you say this thing? We're trying to catch Gregorian, and you're out here making him look good. And he's like, what are you talking about? Oh, here's the other thing. So he gets taken off of his regular job to put on this particular assignment and is replaced by Philippe. And Philippe is like this total ladder climber. And he's like, why are you putting Philippe on my job? Like, I didn't want this. And now Philippe is climbing the ladder. And so he's talking to Philippe. And Philippe is like, dude, you're saying crazy shit on television. And he's like, one, I was very drugged. And two, I didn't say that. I said... They're like, well, watch. And he watches this commercial back, and Gregorian basically made him say he's super dangerous, the most powerful wizard. And they're like, why would you say that? And he's like, well, he is, but I was on drugs. But yeah, and then in talking with these people, he realizes that his boss, Korba, who I haven't talked about yet, but Korba was the one who assigned him the assignment in the beginning, right? This guy figures out that he's the dad of Gregorian. And he's not actually a dad. No. Korda made... Yeah, get rid of Philippe. Korda decided to clone himself. And made a clone. And that is Gregorian, except when he was like having the clone stuff done, he made him more rugged and like hot and handsome and skinnier. Like, I don't know, he was like, well, it wasn't just for like, it wasn't vanity, okay? Like, I just thought that he would like do better if he was like super hot. Like, you know, why not? Why not? I thought he would do better if he was hot, okay? Anyways, and he's like, okay, well, why did you do that? Isn't that like super illegal? Why did you do that? And he was like, well, you know, when you learn enough about things, you stop caring, right? Because everything's illegal. Like, everything's illegal. So throughout this, so then he's like, okay, he goes on this crazy thing. He goes to the Puzzle Palace. I know. He goes to the Puzzle Palace, and he talks to Earth. Which I know what you're thinking. What the fuck is Earth? What do you mean by Earth? Like the planet? No. Apparently the planet Earth is represented by some giant naked woman who's a big giant lady. Again, not explained. Not explained. So they're in this big palace. And he's trying to talk to Earth, and the Earth does something crazy and stops time and shit, and then is like, get in my mouth. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, get in my mouth. And so she sticks out her tongue and is like, and then he gets in her mouth, and then she swallows him, and he's in her stony gullet. And then who shows up but Undine, but dead. Undine dead. She is very dead, and her arm has been ripped off, and she's got one arm extended with a box, and he takes the box, and inside the box was nothing. And then the Earth spits him out. Oh yeah, the reason he was there was because Gregorian had talked to Earth, and then they thought the Earth had given him something, and he was trying to figure out what they gave him, and they're pretty sure that all she gave him was nothing in the box also. So he talks to Korba, reveals that he knows that Korba is his dad. He's like, I know you're his dad. He goes back. Oh, there was one other thing. His briefcase was stolen when he got drugged, right? Briefcase got stolen while he was drugged. Eventually, briefcase makes it back to him, spider mode, right? So the briefcase makes it back to him, and eventually, and that's when he realizes that Chu is actually a double agent, that she's been working for Gregorian the whole time, because she's a native, and he had basically, like, he keeps getting, Gregorian's been fucking with him a bunch, sending him like dead crows and stuff, and he's trying to figure out how Gregorian knew where he was the whole time. Eventually he realizes that it's Chu because the briefcase went missing at a time where he's like, oh wow, yeah, Chu's the one who drugged me for sure. So Chu's like, yeah, duh, I'm a double agent. Like, what the hell do you expect? Like, the government doesn't pay me enough money to live. So, like, why wouldn't I be a double agent? They gotta pay you more. Like, if they ain't covering my bills, I'm gonna have to get it somewhere else. She was like, but I was being nice to you. You totally would have died if I wasn't helping you along the way. Like, yeah, sure, I was a double agent, but like, I didn't want you dead. Anywho, so he abandons Chu. He's going with his briefcase, and he finds out from Earth and the computer system thing and everybody about this place called Arat. And Arat is like a lost city that no one can go to, and he figures it out. And he flies there, except he can't actually fly there, and the plane is fighting him, and the briefcase, which is a government briefcase, has like specific protocols, and it's like, I can't do these things. It's gonna make us crash the plane if I try and do them, because we're not supposed to go there, and like, my systems won't let me. And he's like, it's fine, I'll go on my own. And the briefcase is like, but boss, you'll die. So he keeps going. He leaves the briefcase and is like, come get me when you're done. Like, wait a few hours and then come get me. And then, so he does. He leaves. He's walking through the snow. He's walking freezing, absolutely losing it through the snow. And he finally kind of starts to die. And then Gregorian shows up and is like, come on, man, I'll help you out. And he takes him to a fire, and then he chains him up, and he's sitting there and they're talking, and Gregorian's like, do you want to be my assistant? You're gonna have to do some weird stuff. He's got like this other guy with him that's like a super like grizzly old weird dude. He's like, look, you can be my assistant, but you're gonna have to do what I tell you. I might make you do some weird shit. Like, what if I tell you to kill a dog? And he's like, the dogs keep coming up, okay? You keep talking, like, I've seen a lot of dead dogs. That doesn't surprise me. He's like, yeah, I might make you sleep with that guy. He's like, okay, I guess. And he's like, yeah, you're a bad liar. You don't want to do that. And he's like, well, of course I don't want to do that. I don't want to sleep with that guy. Yeah, and then he goes over to the other guy. Again, not explained. Cuts a chunk of his forehead off and then eats it. And then he spits out half of what he ate, and he's like, I don't know, the guy was like a different alien. I don't know. A guy was a different type of alien. I don't know what was happening. And he's like, yeah, hold on, you gotta eat this, and then we can go on a freaking journey together. And he's like, I really don't want to eat it. He's like, eat it, or we don't get to go on the journey, because it works better with two of us. And then he eats the guy's forehead flesh, and then it turns him into Gregorian in a dream. They're now one and the same. He's experiencing what Gregorian's telling him, and it's like Gregorian going throughout his life and how he gained his power and this, that, and whatnot. At the same time, the tidal wave is coming. Okay, the tidal wave is coming to kill everyone. Eventually, they come out of the dreamlike state, and guess who's there? The fucking briefcase! The briefcase has shown up! And the briefcase, and he's like, hey, briefcase, you can tap into Gregorian's neural network and just take control of his body. And the briefcase is like, sir, that's not allowed. And he's like, I don't care, do it. And so the briefcase just, I don't know, takes over Gregorian, and he's like trying to get him to stand up, and he can't get Gregorian to stand up. And so he's like, the bureaucrat's like, just make him crawl. So he crawls Gregorian over to whatever thing, like a plasma cutter, so he can cut his chains off. And he brings the which I don't know why the briefcase couldn't just do that. And he cuts off his chains, and then they kill Gregorian. And then, the one thing Mother Earth told him to do was to free the machines, but then they didn't let him keep that memory, okay? And so the bureaucrat is looking, he strips naked. I don't know, this is a crazy book. He strips naked. He's watching the big wave come, and he tells the briefcase, he's like, I'm setting you free, briefcase. And the briefcase is like, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you have the clearance. And he's like, I don't care, I'm setting you free. Delete all of the protocols. And he's like, briefcase, if you could be free, what would you do? And the briefcase is like, I don't know, I guess I'd probably go to the bottom of the ocean, because there's trenches there that have minerals, and I would make other briefcases, and then we would live as a briefcase society at the bottom of the ocean, and we would have fun, and it would be nice, and I wouldn't have to take orders from humans anymore. And he was like, you go, briefcase! You do that, and you live! And then the briefcase is like, okay, let me transform into something better. And it changes into like a manta ray briefcase, and then he just yeets it off the cliff. And then he just waits to die, and that's the book. I forgot to say, there's a point where the witch lady comes back. She's not actually dead. I don't know. She's not actually dead, but, and they have sex again, and she sticks her thumb up his butt. She's like, this is my penis.
Ooh,
Sit on it. And he's like, okay. Ooh. There's that part too, so. I don't know, the book was weird. I was really disappointed that that it was all set in like the future on different planets, and everything was based off of like basic ass human mythology stuff. Like, why was it based off of pirates and mermaids and unicorns? Like, please, like make it at least alien. You got all these alien stuff you could have, and they just didn't do that. Also, it was very confusing, and nothing was well explained. Honestly, it did get interesting, but I don't feel like it's the most prominent novel of the year. It was hard to follow. Also, it opens with this really long rant from the captain of the ship about his wife cheating on him, and how he just like beats her. It was terrible. I don't know. 3 out of 5 for spicy. 2 out of 5 book. Would not recommend. Thank you for joining me for the Bad Reads Book Club, everybody.
Bad books. I've got
VTuber
so many
pivot. Let's
bad
go.
books too.